hello. This is Tagore Almeida from the Uncultured Company, and welcome to my podcast, A Pint of Imbecile Wisdom. And today with me, I've got somebody who I've known for past few months. And what intrigued me about Rashmmi was the fact that she's a film distributor, she's a film producer, she's a single mom, she's a woman, and obviously she's a traveler and a lot more. And the way we met was I put up a post on Facebook saying, is there anybody who can help me distribute my short film? And I had one response in the whole world, and that was from this person called Rashmmi. And that's how I got to know Rashmmi. We exchanged phone numbers, we spoke a few times. I got to know her a lot more since then, and I've been very fortunate to have got to know her because there's so much about this woman that has always fascinated me. And today I would like to introduce the rest of you to Rashmmi. So Rashmmi, welcome to my podcast.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Rashmmi. So Rashmmi, let's start from the basics. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and where you came from and stuff like that.
Okay. So I'm basically a Gujarati from a very, very conservative background. Everybody in my family is either a doctor or an engineer, and really, really studied a lot. I did study, but I think, as my father said, it went to waste. Some degree in engineering and an MBA in finance from a premium university, but I got into films, and it's been a great ride.
Okay, so you're Gujarati, but you live in Mumbai, correct?
I live in Mumbai, in the heart of filmdom, so-called as Yari Road or Seven Bungalows, Warsaw. Yes.
Oh yeah, there's a joke that in every building in that area you live in, there's at least one person in every building who is associated with the film industry.
In our area, it's more like at least one flat per floor has somebody from the film industry. Not even one person in the building. It's that crazy. Yes. So I have just right next door to me, there was a very famous actor who was living, and he's just moved out, and I've got somebody else who's a very big fashion designer. So, yes.
Wow. Okay. So, Rashmmi, there's so much about you. First of all, you are a very well-known film distributor. You're also a producer of, live shows and music videos. But I think your forte has been that you've been a film distributor of some of the biggest Bollywood films in some of the key countries in Europe. And that's how you started off distributing films, but you also started buying content from those countries and bringing them into India. So how did film distribution happen? And I'll come to the film production in a minute, but how did film distribution happen with you?
Sorry. Actually, it was television production that got me into television syndication, that got me into film distribution. And that's how it is now just come back full circle, back again to film and TV production. So my journey started with when I was dating my ex-husband, and he was working for a company called UTV, and I would hang around on the sets. And ZTV had put up an ad that time, and Z was just coming up new as a channel being launched in India, that production assistance required. And I said, hey, this is something that I can do, because I was quite intrigued by the film industry. And that's how I started off. My salary was really, really, really low. And, we weren't even getting a regular salary at that time. So I opted for the shares option. And I worked there for about 3 years till I was working on a movie called Fir Teri Kahani Yaad Aayi as one of the interns or one of the low production assistants interacting with the film production team. And Mr. Mahesh Bhatt at that time said, hey, you're quite bright, and would you like to kind of work with me in my office? And I'm doing a lot of movies and TV shows. And by this time, so I would take my dad's car and go to the office in Worli from Warsaw. And my dad's driver was getting a better salary than I was, plus the petrol. So my dad was like, just give this up, we can't afford this. So the only reason why I joined Plus Channel, which was run by Amit Khanna and Mahesh Bhatt, was because, hey, it was closer to home. And I didn't need to take my dad's car anymore. So that's how I joined. I worked there for 3 years with a lot of actors, a lot of people who have really done well today in life. And so I worked there for 3 years, and then I kind of joined Sony's in-house productions as their first executive producer.
And then obviously that led to you forming your own company.
No. I quit in 1999 because I had my baby then, and I was sitting at home for 5 years, and I just wanted to get back to work. Nobody wanted to hire me. Nobody, because a 5-year gap at that point of time. We have to understand that these times were, before internet, before work from home, before the multiple so-called opportunities that you have in any industry. So I wanted to get back to work, and the only people who would offer me a job at that time was Balaji.
This is one of the
I went
biggest
back to work. Yes.
TV houses
Yes.
in India. Yeah, okay.
Yes, so I went back to Balaji. I worked there for 3 months, but unfortunately, I could not handle the what do you call it? Not the pressure, but the timings. At that point of time, we had meetings very late at night. I just couldn't handle the whole setup of shoots and stuff like that because I had a kid at home, and it was very difficult. So about after 3 months, I quit. Till one fine day, I was called back and I was given a show to work on, which was called Cosmic Chat. And it was with Sunita Menon, who's a world famous astrologer, and Simone Singh as the anchor. And we did a run of about 300 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So that put you back. In the industry, after a 5-year break. And hats off to you for actually going back and actually taking that dive of doing it. Because I know a lot of women, when they have kids, they comes to a point when they want to
Yes.
find themselves again. Because the kids are growing up, they're becoming independent. But after 5 years, that's quite a brave thing you did, and hats off to you for that. So when did your own company start, and what triggered that off?
Okay, so I always wanted to have a fairy tale wedding, but I always wanted to be this happy mom and a happy home. Unfortunately for me, my husband decided to become a filmmaker, and there was no food to eat on the table. So one of us had to work, one of us had to feed this baby, and so that's how I started my struggle of finding work. Actually, that was the main thing that spurred me on. While I was in Balaji, I reconnected again with a friend of mine called Smriti Irani, who today, as you know, is the big minister in the Indian government. So we were friends from many years before she was the Smriti Irani. I knew her, and so we reconnected, and we formed a team, and we went to Sony, and we got our first show. So it was called Virud, and at that point of time, nobody wanted us, nobody trusted us, and she was looking after the creative, and my job was to get the monies. And we got our money from the Birlas, which was called Applause Entertainment in those days. So Applause had just done a movie called Black at that point of time, and they were looking to foray into the television business. So our show was the first show that they came on board as a producer, because they funded the whole show.
Nice. Okay.
And that's how I became a producer. We went on to do a few shows for them, after which I think Smriti then decided that her main life calling was politics. She moved on, and I became a producer. I produced shows for Star, Sony, and a lot of shows for affiliated channels like MTV, Z, stuff like that. And yes, that's it.
So this whole thing about film distribution, what are some of the good things about that, being a film distributor, and what are some of the things that you really don't like about it?
The muscling in of people who think they can distribute the next big film just because they have the money, but they don't have the technique. Film distribution is not just, hey, I've bought the rights for a particular film, but it is how to understand. See, Europe has got so many countries, and every country has a different mindset. So in Spain, for example, people party in the evening and they go out for movies late night and they have late nights. Whereas in Belgium, in Luxembourg, in Netherlands, people are more of early birds where they will finish their work immediately and go for a movie and then go home. So you have to understand the dynamics of every country, the mindset of the people of every country, what they would like to watch, when is the correct time to put it on screen. If I'm the wrong time to put up a great film is December, when there are holidays, everybody is moving on for the holidays, nobody is interested, and we are also competing against a lot of major Hollywood motion pictures. So it's the art is not just in taking a film and saying, hey, I'm distributing the next big film, but to actually distribute it in the smaller pockets, and that's how you make your money.
Okay, interesting. So talking about film distribution again, I mean, traditionally we've had films being distributed in cinemas and everything, but then over the past few years, there's been this whole thing of OTT platforms, right? How has this changed the business of film distribution?
So let's put it this way. Before, even the smallest of movies were coming into the theaters, and theatrical rights were amounting to at least 60% of your total revenue. Then the rest was satellite, and digital was like over a period of time, OTT rights have expanded, especially with Amazon coming in, Netflix coming into India. These rights started developing values. Also, 3G went on to 4G, and 4G is now going on to 5G. And people have realized that OTT is just not, OTT is something which is personal. So you can watch something that you want, your wife can watch something that she wants, and your kid can watch something that they want in the same subscription model. And so that's how OTT really took off. Now we have the scenarios of pre-COVID and post-COVID, which have really defined how OTT has come up. So a person like me, okay, if I didn't have any meetings or some meeting got cancelled, I would just go to the theater and watch a movie by myself, or call up a friend and say, hey, let's just watch a movie. We would go and watch any movie. However, now, post-COVID, obviously, everybody is going to select what they want to watch. Why are they going to go to the theaters? How much are they going to spend? It's an expensive proposition to go to a cinema. So I would rather watch a huge, star-cast movie, like let's say a Sanjay Leela Bhansali movie, or a Tanahaji, for example, which was brilliant. I would love to watch that on the big screen. However, smaller movies, today, within 30 days of release, they are being shown on the OTT platforms. I'm paying 1,000 rupees for Amazon, who has the maximum number of movies. Why would I spend 500 or 1,000 bucks to go and watch a movie and come back? And it may be good, it may not be good. Hey, I want to do time pass, it's 10 o'clock at night, I've had dinner, let's just watch a movie. I don't mind waiting for a month or 40 days, and I'll watch it.
So this thing on the OTT thing, Rashmmi, do you think that the OTT influx in the world is changing the economics of the traditional film industry? Because once upon a time, as you rightly said, 60% of the revenue came from the theaters, and a small part of it came from digital. But now, with smaller movies being there, and a normal individual being exposed to cinema from all over the world, sitting in their house, right, and being able to choose, how is that changing the narrative of the Indian film industry, or at least the Hindi film industry? Right from the economics to the star power and so forth. Has that changed, do you think, with the influx of Netflix and Amazon and Disney?
It's a huge change. So let's say, as a producer today, previously I would have made a movie for the large screen. My dynamics would have been for the large screen. I would have removed an X amount of money for promotion, for theatrical distribution, for so many other things. Today, many producers are making the movies strictly for OTT. So they are not even interested in releasing these in the theaters. They are looking at 100% income coming in only from the digital rights. So that's a huge change of dynamics. So we had theater, then we had satellite as a large chunk. Today, even that is not a large chunk. The large chunk straight away goes to digital. And after that, if whatever is remaining, that's a bonus. So that has changed. Coming back to actors, today a lot of actors didn't want to come on OTT because they thought it was a lower kind of option compared to their presence on the grand screen. However, today all the actors are realizing post-COVID scenario that hey, if I keep my movie in for 3 years locked up, I'm going to look dated, I'm going to look old, and probably nobody's going to buy it 3 years down the line. So I might as well release it on OTT and kind of have the whole world watch it and just keep it at home and release it after the theaters are opening, because we don't know what's happening in the current scenario. Regarding the actors, let's say the remuneration, it is going to come down because Amazon or Netflix or Hotstar or Sony Live or Z, these are the only 5 major platforms who are currently buying movies. There are so many movies being made. Every movie is not going to get sold to a bigger platform. So there are going to be places where people have to go on rev share, people have to smell, kind of sell smaller pockets or smaller rides and try to recover the money. So the actors' pricing is going to depend on a variety of factors. So yeah, it's a total game changer.
It's totally a game changer. Okay, that's nice. So the
It's here to stay though.
I'm sorry?
I said OTT is here to stay though, and I think it will coexist with the theatrical. If I want to really watch a big movie and get the feel of the theater once in a while and see a grand film on a grand scale, I am definitely going to go to the theater and pay maybe even 500 rupees to watch something. But if it is going to be on a smaller scale, and I would rather watch it on OTT.
What I've noticed is that, at least from the Hindi film industry, the OTT has actually brought in a much superior level of storytelling and content.
Yes.
We've kind of moved away from these sort of formula films that, were just being dished out year after year after year. And now with the OTT platform, because they're competing against content from other parts of the world, our narrative and also even our stories that we were not bold enough to tell as part of a big feature film, we're now being able to tell that in an OTT environment, which is great for us culturally and everything else. We've gone back to doing stories about rural India, set in rural India, and not some big shot producer setting his fantasy of Indians living in New York or in London, driving Lamborghinis, because that's not really the case. But now we're doing stories which are more realistic that we can relate to. That's great. So another thing I wanted to come close to now is, Rashmmi, and I know this is going to bring a blush on your face. You're very passionate about your daughter.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your daughter. I mean, what's she up to and what's she like?
Actually, we are both very, very, very different. People who actually meet us together, they say that's your sense of board. That's your person who calms you down. So she's the one who says, Mom, don't get into a fight. Mom, don't laugh loudly. Tone down the music, will you? Come home on time. And how much are you drinking? And where are you partying? And who are you going out with? It's the reverse. So, I was never answerable to anybody because I was like a kind of a rebel wild child with my parents. And the one person that I really feared a little bit was my father. But I got married at 21 and I was just doing whatever I wanted in life. Now, everything I think about in terms of her. So, how will it affect her? How is it going to, what is she going to think about it? Like 4 years back when my husband, my husband walked out on me, and it was a bizarre incident my first thought was, should I go back to my parents, or what should I do? But I thought to myself that if I don't come out of this on my own, and if I can come out of this on my own without any help from anyone, it's a great example to my daughter that she can stand on her own feet and she can do anything, and she can achieve anything, and she can go through anything that life throws at her. So honestly, I was not a great mother, and I'm being very honest about it. I was not a model mother, and I'm still not a model mother. If she didn't do her projects in school, and she came to tell me like, tomorrow I have to submit a project, I would say like, just don't go to school. Let's just sleep over it. You know, I'm not going to work the last minute on a project that you're supposed to do. I wasn't really the quintessential mom that you see on, Indian cinema. I was more of a mom who was the, let's go for a bike drive, let's go for a fast ride, let's go for a holiday, let's bunk school. She's traveled the world with me. She's been to so many places, and so we are more of, I had a different approach to raising her. And to be very honest, I wasn't the one who raised her. It was my husband. He was the sit-at-home dad because I was the one whose work just took off. So I was traveling the world and really putting food on the table. So it's only after he left when she was 18, and it's been about 4 years, that we've really developed a kind of a better bond between us. She was daddy's girl, but I think now she's mama's girl because she has no option.
But something that you said there, you didn't know what sort of a mother you are, but I think every woman, feels that whether they're doing a good job. And at the end of it, when you look at it, practically, I think every woman literally does a very good job at being a mother, regardless of the daughters they have been and the sort of parents they've had. But I think, especially in today's age, and even in today's age, I think when we become parents, we tend to do the best that we can, and our priorities change, and we want to become the best persons that we can be for the sake of our children. Yeah.
I agree. So every thought is normally centered around her. I'm going on a holiday now for a few weeks, and the first thing is, am I going to be sorting her out? How is she going to manage? She's 22 now. She'll be turning 22 this month in August, and for me, she's still a baby. But she's stepping out, and those changes are a little difficult to fathom because suddenly she's going out and partying at night. She's out all day with her friends. And I am now having to learn to, kind of adjust to, again, this new normal. Because as a mom, I was never around. Then after what happened with my husband, and then COVID happened, we were together almost 24/7. And again, now she's ready to fly the nest. And I have to readjust my way of thinking and readjust my life in a lot of ways. And it is difficult. It's not easy.
Yeah, of course. So another thing, I wouldn't say besides your daughter, but another thing that you're very passionate about is traveling. So you make the time to go to some of the most craziest, weirdest places, and a rumor has it that your friends call you up and say, I'm going to Timbuktu, tell me what I need to do there, and you have an itinerary set up for them. So tell us about this bizarre traveling thing that you do.
So initially, when I was building the business, I didn't have the time or the money to travel. But later on, I started traveling for work. And when I was with Sony, doing producing shows for Sony, we used to carry our masters to Singapore. So that's where my first trip happened. And of course, then I started traveling for work and for business, for shoots, basically to London and to some parts of Europe. And I started loving this. I just love the world out there. I just like to get lost. And I'm very, very bad with directions. So I keep getting lost on every single trip. I've been robbed in Rome and come home, with €2 in my pocket and what is that called? It's not a passport. I lost my passport. Then emergency certificate I have come back on. So I've had a great many experiences, and the next trip I went back was to Rome again to get over my fear of Italy. I've been to Italy about 6 times, and I love it every single time. I mean, so that's one of my favorite countries in the world. Um, yeah, when I started this, it was also a way to escape the conditions at home. My marriage wasn't working too well, and I couldn't stand to see my husband's face, and I think he must have felt the same about me. So I'm being very honest. So travel then just took on, another form of me going to work and staying back, and just roaming and wandering around, because I didn't want to really face the reality back home. Coming to itineraries, yes, because I've traveled to the remotest places. Today, a lot of my friends, when they plan a holiday, either they want to go out with me, or they expect me to, have a day by day itinerary. It's like my relationship manager in my bank just got married recently, and he plans to go to Paris for his holiday. And today, in fact, he told me, he said, "Ma'am, can you design a 2-week itinerary for me in France, which I can take just today?" Yeah.
So, of all the travels you've done, favorite destination?
I love Italy. I love Italy. I love London. Any destination is good for me. Um, just before the lockdown, I was there for a month in Spain. So I went to Sevilla, Cordoba, Ronda, from Madrid. I loved that holiday. It was fabulous. I treated myself to the super speed first class trains, where I had these ladies, in the bow ties coming in, packing my luggage, and bringing me a glass of champagne. I just loved being pampered. It was a fabulous place. I love Spain. I love Portugal. I distribute movies in Portugal with the biggest cinema screens over there. So I keep going there very often.
So
Lisbon, Belém.
From all these wonderful places in the middle of Europe, next week you're going to somewhere completely absurd and remote. So tell me a little bit about that. I promise. I won't
actually,
tell.
Yeah.
No, go on.
Okay, I'm planning to go to Kashmir. Kashmir has never held really great memories for me. When I was a child, I was living with my parents, but I also had an extended family of my grandparents. So when we would go on a holiday, I had to look after my grandparents, whereas my brother was always with my parents. So that was the bifurcation. And it was really annoying, because my grandparents were really old. So I was holding my whole bag of my grandmother's heart medicines and helping my grandparents, and that's not what a kid wants to do at 10 or 9 or, stuff like that. But well, a good Gujarati girl does this. And I won't say I was the best grandchild, but yeah. And then we had this really unfortunate, I had a very naughty younger brother who kept pushing me everywhere and who beat me everywhere. And I was smart enough to kind of, anticipate what he's up to. However, at one point of time, he tried to push me, and he fell into Dal Lake and he almost drowned.
Oh my gosh.
And you won't believe it. After he was retrieved from the weeds in the water, the first tight slap was to me. Because my mom and dad said, you shouldn't have sidestepped him. I said, hey, what do I do? So I've never really had great memories of holidays with parents, but it's something that I really wanted to go. And I'm looking forward to it now. So key to travel is I don't do the regular, here's Buckingham Palace, here's the London Eye, here's the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and here's Eiffel Tower. I go completely offbeat. So I'm trying to do something which is offbeat. So we are just going to hire a car and drive and roam about. So there's me and there's another friend of mine who's just hopped along for the ride, and that's it.
Oh wow! Okay, so Rashmmi, now coming back, you're getting back into film production now, correct?
Yes.
So that's on the cards. I know that you've got a few things lined up, and you don't have to go into the details of it, but you got a couple of feature films coming up, if I'm not mistaken.
I've got 4 as of now, as we speak.
Okay, and this is all of you being the line producer?
No, I'm the co-producer for all of them.
You're the producer itself for all of them. Wow. Okay.
The co-producer for all of them. The financier is normally the producer because they are the ones putting in the money. We've signed the artists for 2 of them, and big artists, well-known artists. I cannot name it right now. And 2 are in talks. And so with one company, it's a 3-film deal, and with one company, it's a 1-film deal. So that's what it is.
Okay, best of luck with that. And I think the first one of the 4 starts shooting sometime later this year.
So actually, we were supposed to shoot it sometime last year. It was with a different company, but because of COVID and because of a lot of factors, we just couldn't begin shoot. Then we shifted the dates to March of this year. Again, we had a lockdown. We'll be shooting this in London. So to be on the safer side, we've now postponed it to April of next year.
Okay. So Rashmmi, then coming back just to something, there's going to be a lot of my listeners who are probably in a similar situation as you, or probably in that transition phase where probably, they're trying to find themselves, having had a kid, maybe 5 years, 10 years old, they want to get back into the working world. One, there might be some women out there who are not very happy in the relationship they're at, and that's something that you've been through. And I don't want to go into those details, but I know what happened with you because you've shared that with me in the past. But what message would you give? What message would you give to the people out there, men or women, but especially women? What would you say to them?
Well, there are a lot of messages in this. Firstly, every woman should know the basis of finance, the basis of law. It's very, very important that you know the basics of law. You know the basics of at least looking after your own funds. You know how to invest. You know basic banking details. It's very important. I'm not saying it's every woman should know this, whether she is a maid or whether she is an industrialist. Do not leave your finances to someone else.
Okay.
Even if you do, keep a tab. Understand where is it coming from, where is it going, what is happening really. There are a lot of women I know who are married to really, really wealthy people. But when the husband has passed on, or there has been some fight with the brothers and there's some, kind of issues happening within the family, they are suddenly on the road. And they don't know how to start again because they've never done anything in their life. They don't know the basics of whom to even approach. Another thing, know the law. Know what are your rights. Whether as a daughter, as a wife, as a mother, don't give up. Don't. So I stayed in, I wanted to get divorced 10 years back. And my family especially said, there is no divorce in our family. It doesn't work. You went into the film industry, you were a rebel child, you did exactly what you wanted. There is no divorce. I hung around for 10 years thinking he's a good father, he's looking after my daughter. It was the worst mistake of my life. Had I chosen to opt out then.
What was the mistake? Waiting to walk out?
I had multiple opportunities to walk out, but I didn't because I was also comfortable in a bad situation.
Okay.
I was lazy and I didn't want to change the situation because that would require a lot of hard work. That would require a lot of, guts. That would require facing up to a lot of things which I really didn't want to face. I was happy telling the world that, hey, I'm in a happy married life and well, things are going great and everything is super good. But I wasn't facing reality, and because I waited so long, I had to start back from scratch when he left, like completely from scratch. Financially, mentally, emotionally, it was a disaster.
I can understand that.
So,
yeah. But
so the lessons I learned is, I would also say this to women, and I'm telling this to my daughter constantly. Never ever give up working. You may work for money or you may work for charity if you come from a really good household, but please give on something back to the people. I teach in a couple of places. Learn to stand up on your own feet. Be independent. I see my parents have a great marriage. I mean, that's the kind of man I would want. He goes with my mom to the doctor. The car is in the porch when, she wants to leave. He looks after everything and he really treats her well. Every man is not like my dad. I've seen that. So, it's very, very rare.
No, fair enough. And, I mean, what always has impressed me about you is that, you've actually not only bounced back, you bounced back in a big way. You fought this battle yourself. And, if I can say it respectfully, you're crazy enough to do everything that you want to do. And that's a great example, to people around the world.
So when, there are only two ways that you go in life. One is up and one is down. So when you're really at the lowest, you have no option. You have no option but to come out of the gutter or to come out of the hole that you dug yourself in. I dug my own hole right there. And I had to get out of it because it was totally up to me. I had a daughter who was, looking at what I was doing. And what is the kind of example I'm going to give my daughter? Am I the chick who's, running to her father with the tail between her legs and saying, Dad, I failed and I can't manage anymore? Or am I going to say that maybe I can change this whole thing around, the narrative around, and just exactly do what I want to do in life and come up on top of it, So I chose the latter. I dealt with the cops. I dealt with lawyers. I dealt with the loss of business because when he left me bankrupt, basically, when he cleaned my accounts and he went off. So I couldn't even give an MG to distribute my next film. So I really had to start from scratch. Or in my 40s, it's not really a great starting point. But, you never give up.
So
sometimes you don't have an option.
Yeah. So Rashmmi, what are the dreams and the aspirations at the moment for you? So what are you looking? What are you looking to do?
I was a woman who lived in La La Land for a very long time, and I would dream that I'm going to do this, and I'm looking forward to this. I don't anymore. I take one day at a time. If today is good, I'm in a good space. And of course, everybody dreams of a lot of things. I really want to get back to my traveling. That's the thing for me in terms of my work life. I really want to produce some substantial content and kind of leave a legacy behind that, okay, this is what she could do or this is what she did. So that's what I would like to do. And that's it.
I know this. I really know this about you. We're going to talk in about, 2, 3, 4 years time, obviously. And you're going to tell me, remember I said I was going to do that and I've done it. I know we're going to be talking about the 4 films that you're producing at the moment. And
I've got 2 shows on television right now. And they start anytime soon. So I'm going to be cutting my holiday and probably coming back to work on them. Yes. So the
nice.
TV thing starts right now.
Very nice. But as I said this, Rashmmi, I've always found you very inspiring. I think you've done amazing given what you've gone through. And, the fact that you've kept within you alive the woman, especially the mother, and the unique individual that you are, you've just not gone and moaned about what's happened. You've gone and fought, and just look at you now and the things that you're doing. So I think it's amazing. Hats off to you for all of that you're doing. And I'm going to call you tomorrow and say, I want to go to Timbuktu. Can you give me an itinerary for a week?
Yes. I have the whole thing designed, and I'll tell you some shortcuts, and I'll tell you some good places to eat in Timbuktu and where to visit and what to do. I would just tell you that.
Have you ever thought about opening up a travel agency? Why not?
Actually, some time ago, when I was surfing the net, I came across a blog of people selling itineraries, and you have to have a subscription to their website, and then you say, hey, I want to go to Chicago, and put in the number of days, and there you get a whole itinerary with hotels, with blah, 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 and whatever you want to do. Are you single? Are you with a partner? Are you traveling as a friend? Are you traveling with family? Kind of, itinerary designed for you, especially for that. I would love to set up an app like this. That's really, really up my alley. Yes, I would.
Well, can't wait.
More than a travel agency, this is something that I would really like to do.
Well, if you ever do an app, I think I'll be one of the first subscribers on it. So that's a promise. Rashmmi,
Yes.
It's been amazing talking to you. Thank you so much for making the time for us. And honestly,
Yes.
you are, I think, respectfully, I think you're crazily cool. And, I think that's an inspiration.
You should tell that to my daughter now. You really should tell that. She doesn't think so. She's like, Mom, can you just, not do what you're doing?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not
Like,
gonna-
not talk to random strangers and not laugh loud and not, just not be what you are, So
It's called
that's
life.
what it is.
It's called life.
Yeah. Having said that, when you spoke about my dreams, on a serious scale, I would like to open up something for women, which is kind of a place where I can help them, basically show them the guidelines, like a trust, or maybe have some people on call like lawyers, doctors, finance specialists, where a woman, see, today I'm educated, so I knew exactly what to do. I knew my rights. I knew how to deal with things. But there are so many people who don't. They may be educated, but they may be from, an oppressed kind of family, even if they are from a good family. How do they come forward and change their life story? How can I help them? I would really, really like to have a panel of people and kind of form some kind of, a trust or a company where women can approach in incognito probably and get help.
You know what? After this chat, I'll talk to you about a friend of mine in Delhi called Mamta, and she does exactly this. And I think you should try and connect with her.
Fabulous.
Yeah, you should connect.
I would love to.
Great friend of mine and a very inspiring woman as well. But look, Rashmmi, coming back to you, thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you so much.
This has been great, and we've been trying to do this for a while, I know, but I'm so glad we've done it now. So
Yes.
best of luck in everything that you do, and can't wait to know more about your 4 films, your traveling app, and obviously your holiday that you're going to come back from very soon, and all the TV shows and everything else that you do. So best of luck, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For talking to us.
Thank you for having me here. Bye.
Pleasure.